New England gardening here. I thought I'd concentrate a little on my aquarium, and in particular my underwater garden or plants. Not doing too well, but I just cleaned the aquarium out. You should have seen it an hour ago. I did a water change, and I put the driftwood back in. I had it outside trying to freeze off the algae that was on there. So it's dried out. I had to put the weight back on to get it to stay under the water. I cleaned up the plants just with my fingers, peeled off sort of like a slime algae. But I'm going to put a little more effort into getting these plants to grow nice, and thought I'd venture into adding CO2 injection. Now you can put together a do-it-yourself type of device with some leftover containers and tubing and silicone and I guess bread yeast. But I'm not venturing into anything too complicated. The other extreme is the canisters with the regulators, expensive equipment there. But just a step up. It's sort of like already put together for you, DIY. And it has a ready-made container and the tubing and yeast, and it has one of those, I think they call them a CO2 ladder. I don't know how effective those are. The bubble just travels up the ladder and exits at the top once it reaches the top of the ladder. But yeah, I don't have to drill any holes and get any silicone and tubing, and it just comes pre-assembled, so DIY. So I thought I'd give that a shot. Another thing that's important is you need to know what your CO2 levels are. So I bought this here, CO2 indicator. So let's take a look at what we have in this kit. Got some tubing. There's the top of the container, I guess. Here's the yeast. I guess they break it down into an activator and a stabilizer. This says plant grow, so must be some type of fertilizer. Here's the ladder I was talking about. And the container. Some suction cups. And the instructions. Bought this off of Amazon. So let me hook it up and get this thing started. Hopefully it'll improve the growth of my plants. Okay, so here's the ladder. There are 3 suction cups. 1, 2, 3. Next, this tube starts at the bottom of the ladder. It's a little notch that this fits into. It's hard to see. That presses into there. And if you can see, it actually has a slot that the tab fits into there. Press this in up to the top. And then it's cut at an angle so the bubble's going this way up the ladder through a hole, and it just keeps on going up this ladder. I guess the longer it's exposed to the water, the more you have it diffused, the CO2 diffused into the water. So I'll put it along the side wall there. Now I forgot that this makes sense. You can't just use any tubing. You have to make sure that your tubing is CO2 resistant. So this is special tubing here. The canister can either be put below the cabinet, or there's this bracket that you can use. This bracket here that has an adjustment, I guess, for the thickness of the frame on the aquarium, and the canister slides in there. You can see here, this just slides in. Holds the canister like this on the side of the aquarium. So mixing is pretty straightforward. It's hard to see in here. I use a flashlight. There are fins on the bottom there that are at one level, and then another long fin that goes almost the whole length of the canister. So they're calling those first fins that are at one height. That's the amount of sugar you fill to the top of those fins. You can see here on the instructions. So you fill this up with just table sugar, and then you put in the stabilizer and the yeast, and then you fill it up to the top of the second fin that's inside there with lukewarm water. Do not use, they specifically say do not use the aquarium water. So I'll do that. So it comes to about 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and they give you in the kit, there were 3 of each of the activator and stabilizer, and the instruction says that the CO2 this will generate CO2 for about 28 days. So you've got, at least hopefully 3 months worth of CO2 that will be generated. I did buy an extra packet that I think has another 3 months in it probably, because it looks like the exact same one that came in the box. So again, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 1 each of activator and stabilizer, and then you fill the container up to the second mark with lukewarm water. So here's the activator. One stabilizer. So I've added the water. They say gently stir it, faster activation. Here's the cap. Put the cap on. So I am going to hang this on the back. If I put this under the cabinet, it's probably a good idea to install one of those check valves so you don't accidentally drain the aquarium. So this will be higher than the water level, so I won't need that. Put this on here. Here's the bracket. So I'll hang this on the back. Maybe I should have hooked up the tube in first. Just hold this so we don't put too much pressure on it. Alright, so that's hooked up. Let's see how long it takes to start generating some CO2 bubbles. So while I'm waiting for the CO2 bubbles to generate, I'll install this indicator, which is pretty straightforward. This goes on the inside, as it's shown here, and you tip it upside down. You add 1 milliliter, or you fill it up to this line, and then it goes into the aquarium like this, and this pretty much is the indicator. The inside green is the ideal, blue is low, and this yellowish color or lighter green is a high CO2 level. So ideally you're just looking for this color here. And they recommend changing this liquid, I think, every 2 to 4 weeks. So the indicator sits inside the aquarium like this, and there's an O-ring. This just pops off. Tip this upside down and fill it to that mark there. This reacts with CO2. So I'll fill this up to the line. And snap this back on. Now, I don't understand how this doesn't get diffused into the water. I'm supposed to slowly turn this right side up, I guess, and the liquid will stay I don't think it's going to leak. Tip this upside down like this. And I guess it doesn't diffuse in the water. I don't know. I think I'll put this on the opposite side of the tank. I mean, if I put it near the ladder, I don't think that will be an accurate reading. Probably be higher than the rest of the tank. So I'll put this on the inside of the tank. So there's the ladder on the other side, yet to produce a single bubble. I'll put this indicator over here. Then it comes with this sticker that you just cover the diameter of the suction cup, and that tells you a little pictorial here, little diagram or symbol wise, easy to remember. I guess the low here is the dark blue, and the yellowish color or light green is high CO2, and we're looking for this green color. So CO2 is, I don't know how long it takes to react with the water. It's dark blue right now, and I don't see any bubbles yet out of the ladder, and it's been about 15 minutes have gone by since I mixed up everything in the canister. So about 2 hours later, after mixing the solution, the bubbles are starting to form, and they're not uniformly going up the ladder. They sort of bunch up. I guess that's probably a good thing, because the longer they're in contact with the water, you get more diffusion of the CO2 into the water. But yeah, about 2 hours later, and I think it's starting to pick up. So maybe when maybe if the bubbles are being released at shorter intervals, there'll be more of a pattern to the bubbles working their way up this ladder. So I don't know, I think you can see the individual large bubbles on each one of the stairs here, or the steps, and they actually build up and then become too large to be held and get released all at once, which is not supposed to be how this ladder works. So I don't know, maybe as it becomes the longer it stays in the water, maybe, you know, maybe there's residue or something on the plastic. Well, that one made it to that step there, but it just formed into a larger bubble. You know, could be I need to level this perfectly, you know, in three-dimensional space against the glass and whatever, but you know, it can only be as flat as the suction cups as far as that in relation to the glass. I mean, there's nothing else I can do there. So, but it's my first venture into CO2, diffusing CO2 into the aquarium. Let's take a quick look here at the plants. So that's what the plants look like, and again I added some trace elements and fertilizer, iron, and we'll see if with the CO2 whether these plants start to take off or not. And the indicator's still blue, so we'll see if that changes. So this is New England Gardening, putting a little energy into my fish tank. Thanks for watching.